This video is not about locking your doors or carrying bear spray. This is about what happens when something goes wrong and you're alone on the road. Because the truth is, most of us aren't not getting into trouble with other people, but a breakdown, an injury, or a simple mistake can leave us stranded fast. I travel knowing that safety isn't about fear, it's about preparation. It's about asking if something happened right now, would I be able to get help? So today I want to talk about the kind of safety that most videos don't focus on. The practical, everyday things that actually make a difference when no one's around. That would be things like your phone, your keys, roadside assistance, emergency features you already have but may not be using. Video is part of my Senior on the Road series where I share what I've learned traveling, later in life as a senior, what works, what matters, and what I wish more people talked about. I'll link the rest of the series down in the description if you want to check it out. I clearly remember the day, nearly night, on a Sunday afternoon when I went outside my van, I shut the door, and I heard that thing nobody ever wants to hear, that click, where my door's already all locked. I realized I didn't have my keys with me. I realized also that my dogs were locked inside. And I also realized that I didn't have any information about my roadside assistance with me. I learned a lot of lessons when that happened. I'll share later with you how I got out of that mess, but I'm here, so you must know that I actually did get out of the mess. I learned a lot of valuable lessons that day. One of them was that clearly I never, ever, ever, and I mean this, I never, ever, ever do I go outside. Even if all my doors and all my windows are open, I don't go outside unless I have my keys in my hand or on my loop or outside already in my chair. And to go along with that, I never, ever, ever go outside without my phone. That habit was pretty easy for me because I take a lot of photographs, so I normally have my phone with me. So, firm rule, write this down. I never go outside, and neither should you, unless you have your key and your phone in your hand. So let's go over those details a little bit as well. Your key has the emergency on it, which I'm not going to do right now but you'll have this with you at all times. Now, I know that you can get the little magnetic key things to put in and hide one up under your van somewhere. I don't have that. I don't do that. But of course, that's something that I should probably do now that I think of it, but I don't. Also, remember that if for some reason your battery went dead and you have the opener on here, it won't work. So be sure to know how to actually unlock manually your doors. Also, if you have a keyless entry, that's not going to work either if your battery is dead. So prepare for that situation that may in fact happen. So rule number 1, never leave without your keys. Number 2, your phone. Of course, you're always going to have that on you because we just made that rule, right? It's a senior rule. Always have your keys in your phone and don't forget them. A habit is created in 21 days, I think. So start today. Maybe you already do that, but that's something that I had to get used to, and I do actually do it every single day. Talk about phones for a minute. Now, I have an iPhone. I don't know what you have, but prepare your phone for the things we're going to talk about now. Whichever model you have, you can Google it or AI it, which is probably a lot easier than going on their website. Find out how you do it. But on your phone, you have the ability, if you are somewhere that has no signal, be able to make an emergency call. You simply, on the iPhone, you press the two buttons on the side, your emergency signal will come up. And if you don't have a signal at all, when you pull that up, the first thing that will happen, it will try to find somebody else's cell phone tower. I use AT&T, so if I have no AT&T, it may look for a Sprint. If that doesn't work, the next thing that it will do is try to find a satellite. Once it finds a satellite, you're not going to hear anything, so just stay there. Once it finds a satellite, it will contact the nearest emergency situation that is there so that they will be able to find you and to help you. In addition, on the iPhone, you can set up your medical contact alert system. So once that happens, that it gets the emergency contact to the paramedics or whoever. It will also send a text to your emergency contact. That is not a tutorial. That's just something that I've learned on my own about my own phone. Now, when do you do this? When do you have this with you? At all times, whether you're inside or outside. Of course, if you have to use the satellite feature, it doesn't work inside. You have to have, your emergency has to be outside, not inside. What else should you have in your phone? Have a folder in your phone of copy of your driver's license, your medical cards, and a list of any prescriptions that you have. Have that printed out as well, but have a folder in your phone. Let's talk for a minute about another safety feature, and that is roadside assistance. If you don't have roadside assistance, I would ask you to seriously consider getting it. It's not all that expensive. I have Good Sam roadside assistance. That does not have anything to do with Sam's Club. It has something to do with Camping World. And I compared it with AAA, and I really liked Good Sam better. But please check it out for yourself. But always have that information with you. Now, I didn't on my little episode there. So I'll tell you how I have it now set up. And that is, if I call them, and you can just Google a phone number for them at least, and I call them, they can look me up by my phone number. So I don't actually have to have my membership number with me. A couple of things to remember about roadside assistance, and that is, of course, they will come and change tires for you. They will tow you or put you on a flatbed if you need to. The things that happens. But keep this in mind. Roadside assistance really only wants to help you if you're within 100 feet of, they say, a paved road, but I have had it happen that as long as you have a named road, that they will help you as long as you're close to that road. So if you're out in the desert somewhere like I am right now, and I needed to call roadside assistance, probably they're not going to come help me, although, I'm a pretty good whiner because I'm old, and sometimes I have been able to get help that maybe I shouldn't have. But keep that in mind and be sure you have roadside assistance and the phone number and have it set up so you don't have to have your membership number with you. As seniors, we're probably pretty independent, at least I am too, and I don't really want everybody to know where I am all the time, but there are some safety things to go along with that. I have, with my family, with my daughter, my granddaughter, and so forth, we're on that 360 app, Roadside app, so that they can see where I am all the time. So if they don't hear from me for, a month, but hopefully it's a day, then they will look and see where I am and contact me. We text a lot, so I'm not too worried about them going for a long time without looking for me. But it's a good idea to have some kind of a system set up so that people know where you are and can find you. With that app, there is a map feature that goes with it, obviously, and so they can pin it and know exactly where you are at all times. They also know if you're driving and how fast you're going, so be careful about that. If you have a fire, now obviously if it is a fire, then you need to get out. If you have time, grab your keys, your phone, and your pet. If you don't have time for the keys and the phone, make sure you get your pet and get far away. But if it's something that it would be easily fixed with a fire extinguisher, then make sure you know how to use it. There is an acronym that you can use. It's PASS. Pull the pin, aim low at the fire, squeeze the trigger, and sweep it back and forth. Now, that's not going to do you any good if it's still hooked to the wall and you can't figure out how to get it off the wall. So be sure to check that out and make sure it's up to date. Well, how is your first aid kit looking? Is it pretty sparse and bare, and do you know where it is? Make sure you have your Band-Aids, your gauze, your antiseptic, insect bite remedies, poison ivy, anything like that. Make sure it's stocked, and when you start running out of Band-Aids because you're using them for other things, be sure and fill them back up. So make sure you have your first aid kit up to date. When we boondock, we have trash that needs to be taken out. Pack it in, pack it out. Now, you have trash in your van or your RV or whatever you have, and maybe it gets to smell a little bit and you really don't want to leave it in here, but do not leave it outside. Do not tie it to the back of your ladder and expect to leave it out there, because trash will attract bears, coyotes, animals of a lot of different kinds, and you really don't need those running around in your around your van or your RV and looking to find ways to get your trash and maybe to get you. As promised, let me tell you how I got out of that situation. I did have someone with me. I was able to use their phone, call roadside assistance, and even though it was late on a Sunday, I was able to find somebody. We were in a very small town, and I had to find somebody that was approved through my roadside assistance, which at the time they were not. But I did find somebody, and if you get a receipt, they will reimburse you, which is in fact what happened. Also remember this. I didn't know this either, but I have a Ford Transit. And so a lot of these RVs are set up that it's very difficult for you to do the whole pop-a-lock thing. He came, he was not able to do that. Fortunately, my keys were sitting right on my countertop and my window was open this much. So he could put that little thing in and he could get it out. It took a couple hours though, and it got dark, and my dogs were not happy that they were inside by themselves and couldn't get out. So I did get out of that situation, but as I said, I learned a lot from it. I want to be very clear about something before we wrap this up. This video isn't about being afraid. It's about being prepared. Most people traveling later in life, seniors like we do, don't get in trouble because of strangers. We get in trouble because of the small things. A dead phone, keys left behind, not knowing how to call for help or an emergency situation when it actually matters. The good news is that everything we talked about today is really very simple, inexpensive, and you probably already have all this stuff already in your control. If you take nothing else from this video, remember this: safety on the road isn't about what you carry. It's about what you're ready for. I've put a simple checklist in the description so you don't have to remember all this, and there's some things probably in there that I didn't even mention. But save it. Come back to it or print it out so that you can have it in your rig. And just remember to keep checking it to make sure that you still have everything up to date, because that checklist alone could really make a difference someday. And if you've been traveling for a while, I'd love to hear from you. What's one safety habit that you've learned the hard way? Your experience could help someone else. And it's the ones that we learn the hard way that we remember the most. So this is part of my Senior on the Road series, and I hope you have been enjoying it. It's where I share what I've learned as a senior on the road, the practical stuff that a lot of people just don't talk about. It's more than keeping your doors locked and carrying bear spray. So travel smart, take your time, and I'll see you down the road. Peace.